Well, has one of Marvel Studios' elite machines once again struck? Mark Ruffalo recently was in an interview talking about the potential for some MCU characters to return, and in a traditional fashion, he's chewing on his foot. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what Mark had to say, and where this might really be going in the MCU. Well, as many of you know, Robert Downey Jr. said goodbye to the MCU when Iron Man sacrificed himself at the end of Avengers Endgame, along with Steve Rogers, who is technically still alive, but retired himself to enjoy a normal life with Peggy Carter. Now, we've talked about this many times on this channel, and the rumors have been really persistent about the possibilities that both actors could return to those roles in Secret Wars. This is definitely something Marvel could make happen given the nature of the multiverse, and honestly, I've said many times, it's the only way Marvel is going to beat those Endgame numbers at the box office. Well, recently, Mark Ruffalo, who plays Bruce Banner in The Hulk, appeared on stage at Emerald City Comic-Con. And he was actually asked how he feels about remaining on in the MCU, specifically without some of his original co-stars. Now, in his reply, he said, "Sad, but there's no time machine, and there are alternate universes and realities, so anything could happen." Now, obviously, Ruffalo has been known to get in a lot of trouble with Marvel Studios for giving away too much during interviews in the past, so after he said this, he was pretty quick to clarify he wasn't actually giving away a spoiler. He went on to say, as he was laughing looking at the ceiling, "Are one of those boards going to fall on me? Man, are you trying to get me in trouble again? I'm not going to say it's not possible, but I'm not saying it is." Now, clearly, just the simple fact that he was backtracking from the statement is darn near confirmation of what he said. Ruffalo has a long history of dropping spoilers, one of the most famous being the end of Infinity War, when he clearly got in trouble for those remarks. I absolutely love Ruffalo as a person, and I love that he's a simple gaffe machine that gives stuff away all the time. Him and Tom Holland both require special management from Marvel Studios, and I think he might have really given away a big detail about the future of the MCU. Many feel that Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. stepping back into the MCU could possibly tarnish the versions of the characters we got to know in their primary timeline. And this very well might be true, but given the nature of the multiverse, it is very possible that Kevin Feige and the crew at Marvel Studios will pull out all the stops to ensure that the multiverse saga goes out with a huge bang and possibly surpass that Avengers Endgame box office of over $2.2 billion. Nothing would drive fans back to the screen in a bigger way than the return of Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and Chris Evans as Captain America. Should those two return, I really don't see why Scarlett Johansson could not return as Black Widow. We've already seen her variant in What If, so we know a version of the character very similar to the one we knew on our Earth does exist in the multiverse, and honestly guys, I really do believe Marvel is putting all these pieces in play to make that scenario come to fruition. Now, this is far from confirmation, and these movies are so far out, even if there was a full-on leak right now, Marvel Studios could turn 180 degrees given the time frame before the film's release. You all know how I feel about this. I think this is going to happen for Marvel to make those financial benchmarks and to surpass Endgame. Secret Wars is a long way off and hasn't even started production, so none of these questions have been answered yet, so we're going to have to wait and see.